next contestant is Sryashee Dutta. And your question is, what made you join this competition and choose the topic of health?
I saw this advertisement in Google Classroom that school provided, and I was very fascinated to join. And second of all, this plastic problem is actually one of the biggest problems around the globe. So I want to contribute my ideas and my thought process and help mankind to come out of this problem. And you asked me what topic I chose. I chose food chemistry because that was one of the topics that clicked for me, because I'm fascinated towards biology and chemistry, and learning the chemical reaction towards plastic and how it can affect Myanmar itself and the whole impact on health is very interesting. So that's why I chose this topic.
Thank you very much. My bad. Your topic is on food chemistry. Thank you. And then the next.
So good morning, everybody. My name is Sryashee Dutta, and I'm representing Brainworks Total today. And today's topic is food chemistry. So before I go any further, I would like to explain what food chemistry actually is. So according to the New World Encyclopedia, food chemistry is actually the study of chemical processes and interactions of biological and non-biological components of food. It also overlaps with the study of biochemistry, and it deals with components such as carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, vitamins, and other dietary products. However, today's main focus will be how plastic production on the environment provides a negative impact on our health, which is one of the biggest prevailing issues in Myanmar. Let's start off with a summary of this topic. So first, I would like to explain how the plastic is extracted. The first stage of making plastic is extraction. So as you can see in this picture, petroleum and natural gas is extracted from the ground. And while extracting, a lot of toxic substances are released in air and water. These harmful substances can cause cancer, reproductive, and developmental disorders. Research also shows that people living near these fracking sites are more exposed to these substances. And a pregnant woman who lives near a fracking site have a lot of birth complication chances. Moving on, the second stage is turning oil plastic, and I'll be also mentioning its implications. So as you can see in this picture, these small molecules are defined and refined or combined into polymers by applying heat and pressure. And then a lot of additives are added to give them their desired products. For instance, brominated and fluorinated compounds are used to impregnate waterproof jackets. Unfortunately, these additives are extremely dangerous and harmful to our health and can escape in food and indoor dust. Moreover, young children who always eat school lunches are more exposed to these plasticizers used in food and containers. It can harm their reproductive organs, and substances like endocrine disruptors evoke diseases such as breast cancer, obesity, diabetes, and even cancer. Exposure to toxic chemicals. There are four main ways how we can be exposed to toxic chemicals. The first one is extraction and transport through direct contact of emissions, including benzene and other toxic chemicals, which can affect our immune system, also our kidney and liver. The second one is emissions and refining manufacturing of toxic materials, can result in skin, eye irritations, and even cancer. Moving on, the third one is waste management through emissions of heavy metals, such as mercury and lead of toxic recycling. It can affect our GI tracts, and can cause lung disease and diabetes. The last but not least is fresh water and ocean farmlands of air, which an emission of microplastic can cause lung, GI, heart-related disease, cancer, and diabetes. In these four exposures, you can see the repetition of cancer a lot. And you know that cancer is one of the most deadliest diseases around the globe. And unfortunately, the success rate is very low. And you'll be lucky if you can detect it in the first or second stage. The problems. I have identified four main problems to this issue. The first one is we consumers have no way of identifying which objects contain risky chemicals. Most of the retailers themselves have also no idea what they're selling. The second one is company hiding information. Information mostly gets lost when supplying by manufacturer, as it is confidential business information. The third one is usage of endocrine disruptors. Endocrine disruptors are basically a group of plasticizers that upset our endocrine system and can cause harmful diseases. Last but not least, carrying hot foods in plastic container. This is the biggest issue in Myanmar because wherever you go, you can see foods contained in plastic container. And they're not mostly hard containers, they're loose plastic containers, which are even more harmful. According to abc.net, BPA found in plastic are injurious to health, which BPA stands for biphenyl adenine, and which are a polymer which can cause different types of cancers. Usage of plastic in Myanmar. As you can see this picture, the whole soil is covered with plastic, and you can see nothing but plastic all over the ground. This is in Yangon. Here you can see the upper Irrawaddy regions contribute 58 tons of plastic per day, and the lower region, Myanmar, Yangon, adding to 32 tons and 29 tons respectively. 32 tons and 29 tons only in Yangon. Then imagine how much plastic is there in all over Myanmar. According to Then Myanmar themselves, 119 tons of plastic are washed into this ocean every day. This puts Irrawaddy as one of the biggest and most polluted rivers in the planet. This needs to stop. Now let's move on to the solutions. Here, I've provided 3 main solutions. The first one is transparency. I think transparency plays a major role when it comes to these issues, because transparency between seller and consumer and talking about the precautionary measurement and the composition of the product is extremely important. Europe has already adapted to this method, and including the country of origin of labeling. And as you can see, Europe is doing pretty well and their economic growth is increasing rapidly. And I'll say why in other slides. The second is producers taking responsibility. This is also one of the biggest solution that I can find, because producers taking responsibility is the only way the toxic cycle can be broken. Because if the producers take responsibility, the further more toxic substances won't end up in rivers and lake. One of the main Myanmar organizations called Zero Plastic have taken many initiatives. Here you can see a clear way they're saying that we're responsible. They're responsible of whatever they're producing, and thus taking the responsible of all the plastic they produce or they don't produce. Here you can see a picture of how the plastic bottles are replaced with finely made glass bottles. And the next picture on the right side, you can see how plastic bags are replaced by paper bags. On the left, you can see how plastic straws are replaced by glass straws or silicone straws. On the right, you can see this beautifully steel-made bottle which replaces plastic. And they all, Zero Plastic, they support all these, and they have made by themselves. Moving on, the last solution is the main solution, which is avoiding of plastic and as carrier foods. Public awareness on harmful impact of plastic is one of the biggest ways that we can do this. And using plastic as food carriers needs to be declared as punishable offense in restaurants and hotels. Here in the background, you can see this is a country called Rwanda, and they have already banned plastic. And you can see in this picture that usage of non-biodegradable polythene is prohibited. Rwanda has already banned single use of plastic, and Germany is planning to do in 2021. Now you may ask, will it work? Will any of these solutions even effective? Yes, they will. All the solutions that I've provided are both effective and cost close to nothing. Firstly, I've mentioned transparency, and transparency is an extreme crucial idea for us consumers and sellers to know what ingredients are used to make any object, so we can take further precautions to use it. Also, it can benefit the economy because transparency plays a major role when it comes to selling and promoting. Furthermore, if producers take responsibility, the amount of waste produced can be lowered, and it can lead to less cost of waste disposal, because if the producers take responsibility, they can reuse the made product, and all the things won't end up in rivers and lakes. And as you can see in my background, if you want crystal clear water, we can all put the responsibility to the consumers, as they can take responsibility and everything won't end up in lakes and rivers. It's not on my hand, or it's not in your hand, or it's not in the audience hand. It's the hand of Myanmar citizens and the society coming together as one and helping Myanmar itself to make plastic free. And this is the way how we can have a successful rate of plastic free Myanmar. Lastly is avoidance of plastic containers. Switching to materials such as steel is a way better idea, as Zero Plastic says. Providing public awareness camps and educating people about how negative impacts of plastic is the first step of success. This way, people are more likely to understand. But if they don't, there are always strict rules and regulation and punishments for people to understand its importance. Yeah, I know some people will be like, isn't it too strict? Rules and regulations for just plastic? Unfortunately, a lot of people don't understand the importance of plastic and how it affects our health in a negative way. So this way, rules and regulations can provoke fear among people and understands its importance. Because in the end of the day, stopping usage of plastic is our main goal. And any consequences that comes along, we have to overcome it, even if it's people, society, or anything else. So it is now or never. let's help our Mother Earth before it's too late. Because a lot of countries are having a big impact of usage of plastic, and not many people talks about it. So we have to come together as a team, as a whole country, to participate and understand the importance of plastic and stop using it altogether. These are my references. Thank you so much for your time and attention. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It was an amazing, impressive presentation. And may I now invite Ms. Alessandra Giuliani for the question and answer session.
Thank you again for another very interesting and relevant presentation for Myanmar and for the rest of the world, of course. It's quite scary to think about, I mean, this impact on the health about putting hot food in the plastic, because it's what we see every day. I mean, not only Myanmar, in all Asia, and unfortunately the rest of the world. Just a question: what would be like a concrete action to, I don't know, to inform consumers, people about this harm?
Okay, so for the first, as I said, transparency, like maybe what we're selling, you can add what ingredients are there, or maybe the country of origin, or be like this object or this ingredients is harmful to this, or maybe in heat, so please don't take it there. So the consumers itself, they can be aware and they will take precautionary actions towards it. So I think transparency plays a major role of awareing people, and for us consumers and retailers and sellers to know, we should be informed, because or else sometimes the manufacturers don't put the important informations and we consumers have to deal with it. So I think it's a really important that we should know that we should be transparent with each other and know what exactly is in the thing that we're buying.
Just to add this, what about, I mean, if you are in a remote small village?
Remote small village, yeah. I think this is where the camps and awareness camps start from, because maybe maybe the rural areas they have no idea what they're buying, or they no idea what ingredients they are, or maybe they don't have the education to know if they're harmful or not. This is where we come in as an organization, and we go to places like that, tell them and inform them that these objects or these things can have these effects, and we have to make them understand by giving examples and how, like that, as I showed in my slide, that these can provoke these diseases, and which is harmful to our health. So I think they would understand the importance. Also, one of the biggest place where plastic is used is restaurants. And I think we should go there. We as organizations, or maybe we can have small webinars with restaurants themselves and see how much plastic they use. And maybe we can educate them to stop using plastic. Because plastic is a cheap and affordable thing, and most of the people use it because it's very cheap. But I think it's time to move on and use maybe cotton bags or something. Thank you.
Thank you, Sryashee. And now I think Mr. Halposha wants to ask a question.
Hello. So again, thank you for your presentation. It was phenomenal. One of the unfortunate things that I think we've all noticed, that human beings are sometimes pretty self-destructive. You know, as bad as we know smoking is, a lot of people smoke, a lot of people don't wear helmets on motorcycles, and, you know, they do things that are inherently, you know, not intelligent. So on the other hand, we tend to be pretty susceptible to making things that are cool, right? TikTok, you know. So, you know, I'm wondering, as somebody who's a, you know, a young person, do you think there's a way that we can make using disposable plastic uncool, right? Rather than telling somebody it's bad for your health, because people do lots of things that are bad for their health. Do you think maybe another tactic could be making it not hip, not cool, you know, not something that, you know, something that's not cool to have, right? Do you think that's something, you're much more in the sweet spot of this than I am. I'm not very cool, but, you know, young people type of thing. Do you think that's something that you could do to influence your community and the people around you, and even the people in villages, so that they, you know, instead of telling them, this is going to kill you, they don't really want to hear it. What they want to hear is, you know, maybe this is a not hip. Do you think that's possible, or am I?
I have two answers for this. First of all, social media plays a major role in this, and maybe because influencers, everything is influence based these days. So maybe if they look up to some people, for example, Beyonce or somebody who's like up there, and maybe they're like have this influence about millions of people, maybe they can show, or maybe they can advertise like, oh, plastic, uncool. I mean, then it can affect the whole generation because we look up to them. So I think social media plays a big role in here. And big people, or maybe like actors or big influencers, should actually promote these because they have influenced millions of people all around the world.
Okay, so shout out to Beyonce and Sai to get with Tant Myanmar to promote the not use of plastic. Let's put that on the record.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, let me also check with Ms. Daya Enchi if she has a question for Sryashee Dutta, right?
Yeah, so if I ask from the retailer perspective, because to balance our commercial impact and our environmental impact is really like difficult for us. So like you said, if we would like to ban the kind of the single-use plastic food container boxes and everything, there is always complaint from the consumer side. So do you have any idea to sort this out, how to balance between this?
Well, of course, there will be people around the globe or people around Myanmar who always have like problems with everything because they want to show their opinions, which is sometimes relevant, sometimes not. And I think this is where rules and regulation comes in, because if you have strict rules and regulations, if you break it, I mean, if you break it, you have to pay for it, right? So like maybe having penalties or something like that, because I think even people who complain, they will be scared of rules and regulations, right? Maybe stricter rules and regulations can be made for people who are ignorant or don't understand its importance. Maybe you can start with something small, like example, we see you using plastic containers for food, you have to give penalty 10,000 chats, and things get bigger and bigger. Because I think like around like in Myanmar, some people, yeah, because I see like some of the city marts, they use cotton bags, which is a great step. But some people, they still want to take plastic bags, which is unfortunately really bad. But then we have to tell them, we have to show them, like, if you ask too many times, or if you don't understand its importance, I'm sorry, but you have to pay, or the penalty, the punishment or something. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sryashee.
Okay, so last but not the least, is our first prize winner is Sryashee Dutta Roy. Yay!
Congratulations, Sryashee.
Congratulations, Sryashee.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, go ahead. I can already
Sorry, my parents came. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I didn't think I'll be first, but thank you so much for listening to my solutions, and I'm really, really glad that you liked my ideas.